Hello, today's topic is superconductivity. In metals, because of the scattering of electrons, resistivity or resistance arises in the metal. And this resistance or resistivity is due to two reasons. First one is scattering of electrons due to lattice ions. Second one, scattering of electrons due to impurities or defects present in the material. Superconductivity means there is no resistance. A state where there is no resistance or no resistivity is called superconductance or superconductivity. So infinite conductance or zero resistance. If we can achieve that state is called superconductivity or superconducting state. Now, as I said, there are two scattering mechanisms for electrons in the metal. Scattering due to lattice ions and scattering due to impurities. As you increase the temperature, amplitude of lattice vibration, lattice ions increases and chance for scattering increases. That's why as you increase the temperature, resistance or resistivity increases. Now as you decrease the temperature and reaches 0 Kelvin, absolute zero temperature, amplitude of lattice vibration is almost zero. It is at rest. Lattice ions are at rest. But there is resistance. That resistance or resistivity is due to defects present in the material. These electrons get scattered whenever it meets defects or impurities. So even at 0 Kelvin, there is resistance or resistivity. So as I said, zero resistivity or zero resistance, it is impossible to achieve because you take any material, you synthesize any material, some sort of impurities will be present. Now in the year 1911, Camerlin Onnes, he was doing low temperature resistivity studies in mercury. Not only in mercury, many metals, but in mercury at around 4 Kelvin, he observed one effect. At around 4 Kelvin, suddenly resistivity drops to zero. So this phenomenon in which resistivity suddenly changes to zero, drops to zero, is termed as superconductivity. This one, mercury, is a superconducting material. Now the temperature at which resistivity drops to zero is called superconducting transition temperature or critical temperature. Not all metals are showing this effect. Some metals are showing this effect. Mercury, one example. So around 4 Kelvin, we got transition temperature or critical temperature for mercury. Camerlin Onnes in the year 1911 observed this effect. He was awarded for this one Nobel Prize in the subsequent year. Then after this, many researchers tried to get superconductivity phenomena in different metals. Because if we can synthesize a superconducting material whose transition temperature is near room temperature, it is having lot of applications. But unfortunately, the maximum value reported was in niobium. It was around 9.5 Kelvin. Then researchers tried metal alloys. In one niobium germanium metal alloy, they got around 22-23 Kelvin transition temperature. Then the research ended there. Nothing happened from around 1912-13 to 1986. Then in 1986, Bednos and Muller, they synthesized lanthanum barium copper oxide. It is called LbCO compound, in which they got a transition temperature of 30 Kelvin. And it is for the first time in a mixed metal oxide, superconductivity phenomena was observed. So very next year, many teams started synthesizing materials with a transition temperature in 140, 130 range. But even now, The maximum reported value is around 140 Kelvin only. So that much scope is there in superconductivity research. Properties of superconducting materials. One is critical magnetic field. If we are keeping a superconducting material in a magnetic field, you increase the magnetic field. At one stage, you can see superconducting material is changing into normal conducting material. That means magnetic field can destroy the superconducting property of a material. So minimum magnetic field required to destroy the superconducting property is called critical magnetic field. Second one is specific heat. Specific heat of a superconducting material undergoes a discontinuous change below the critical temperature. There is no trend for specific heat value with temperature. Then next one is isotope effect. If you have isotopes of a superconducting material, an isotope with more isotopic mass will have least critical temperature value. There is a relation m raised to alpha Tc is a constant m into Tc. That means as the isotopic mass increases, Tc value decreases. Next property is Meissner effect. You take a superconducting material, you keep it in a magnetic field, you can see magnetic flux lines passing through the body of the superconducting material. Now you decrease the temperature. When the critical temperature is reached, you can see magnetic flux lines pushed away, expelled from the body of the superconductor, or this superconducting material behaves like a diamagnetic material, removing or expelling magnetic flux lines from its body. This is called Meissner effect. So below the critical temperature, magnetic flux lines are pushed out of the body of the superconductor, or a superconducting material behaves like a diamagnetic material. This is called Meissner effect. So Meissner effect means magnetic flux density is 0. And there is a relation between B, H and M, three basic magnetic vectors. B equal to mu into H plus M. So when B equal to 0, H plus M equal to 0, or H equal to minus M. H is applied magnetic field, M induced magnetization. So you draw a graph between H and minus M. H equal to minus M is Meissner effect. So when you are drawing a graph between H and minus M, you will get a straight line. Such materials which gives a straight line, they are called type 1 superconductors. So up to which value? H equal to minus M up to Hc. Hc is critical magnetic field. Beyond critical magnetic field, it behaves like a normal conductor. This type of magnetization curve is shown by all metals. So such materials, metals are called, superconducting metals are called type 1 superconductors. There exist only two states, superconducting state till Hc, critical magnetic field, and beyond Hc, it is in normal conducting state. These superconductors, type 1 superconductors, are also called as soft superconductors because Hc value is very low. That's why it is not used in the construction of superconducting magnets. Mercury, niobium, aluminium, tin, etc. are examples. Now in metal oxides and metal oxides, there exist three states in magnetization curve. One up to Hc1, complete Meissner effect, H equal to minus M. Then magnetic flux lines begins to penetrate through the material till Hc2. So Hc1 to Hc2, lower critical field to upper critical field, it is in a mixed state, or it is exhibiting partial Meissner effect or incomplete Meissner effect. This is called mixed state or vortex state. Beyond Hc2, it is in a normal conducting state. So three states are there for metal oxides and metal alloys: superconducting state, mixed state, and normal conducting state. Such superconducting materials are called type 2 superconductors or hard superconductors because Hc2 value is very large. So type 2 superconductors whose Hc2 value is very large. Next is Josephson effect. This effect was observed by Josephson and team. They made a junction with the two superconducting materials and an insulator in between. A superconductor, insulator, superconductor. Such a junction they made, or an insulating layer is sandwiched between two superconducting materials. So insulator, so it won't conduct any current. But when such a junction, superconductor, insulator, superconductor junction, when you are applying voltage, current is conducted through this junction, or insulator becomes a conductor. So this is due to the tunneling of electrons through the insulating layer, and this effect is called Josephson tunneling, and this is having many applications. Tunneling of electrons through insulating layer, so, and this is called Josephson effect. Now zero resistivity or infinite conductivity, to explain this we need theory. So many researchers, they formulated theory. The best one is BCS theory. It was developed by Bardeen, Cooper and Schrieffer. That's why the name BCS. And this theory is based on electron lattice ion electron interaction. So according to this theory, an electron attracts lattice ions and there becomes a region of heavy positive ion concentration. Now a second electron moving near to this cluster, positive cluster, will get attracted. So as a result, we obtain electron pair. So electron, lattice ion, electron interaction and electron pairs are formed. These electron pairs are called Cooper pairs. And these Cooper pairs are not suffering any scattering. And in a superconducting state, that is below transition temperature, all electrons are in Cooper pair state. So there is no scattering for electrons in Cooper pair state. That is why resistance or resistivity is zero. Now another property of these Cooper pairs, two electrons in a Cooper pair, they possess opposite momenta and spin. Pauli's exclusion principle is not valid. So in a quantum mechanical state, we can have any number of Cooper pairs. And to support this BCS theory, because the main concept is electron lattice ion electron interaction, according to this theory, in metals where electrons are very free to move, there is no chance of electron lattice electron interaction. And there are some metals, for example silver, gold. In these metals, electrons are very free to move and these metals are not showing superconductivity phenomena. So that supports BCS theory. Now some Nobel Prizes in this field. In 1913, Camerlin Onnes got a Nobel Prize for his discovery of this superconductivity, this invention. 1972, Burdeen, Cooper and Schaefer for BCS theory. 1973, Josephson and team for Josephson effect. 1987, Bednorz and Muller for synthesizing lanthanum, barium, copper oxide superconducting material. Then in the year 2003, Abrikosov, Ginsberg and Leggett for their work in the theory of superfluids. So many were awarded Nobel Prize in this field, superconductivity research. Now some applications of superconducting materials. First is SQUID, superconducting quantum interference device. This is a magnetometer or to find the magnetic characteristics of some weak magnetic materials we are using SQUID. In high energy physics experiments, in MRI, NMR imaging, then maglev vehicles. This is a super speed vehicle where some 500-600 km per hour speed we can achieve. This already tested in Japan and many countries. Next is in magnetic hydrodynamic power generation, then in magnetic separation for refining ores and chemicals, memory storage element in computers, in superconducting generators and motors, in superconducting fuses, switches and cables. So certainly there are many applications for superconducting materials. And thank you for watching this video. If you have any doubt, you can contact me in this number. Thank you.